Hi students, let's start with a warm-up today. Given that line L is parallel to line M, we want to find the measure of angle 6, 7, and 8. Go ahead and pause your screen and do that. Okay, working through this problem, given that 40 degrees is this angle right here, let's fill in the corresponding angles to that. This would mean that angle 7 is also 40 degrees. As you can see in the picture here, angle 7 and the 40 degrees are corresponding. So we can put 40 there. Going vertical to angle 7 is angle 6, which is also 40 degrees. In this case, angle 6 and angle 7 are vertical angles. And lastly, we need to find the measure of angle 8. Notice that angle 7 and 8 are supplementary. Also, angle 6 and 8 are supplementary since they form a straight angle. When you look at these two, this is 180 degrees. Therefore, 180 minus 40 is 140 degrees. So angle 8 must be 140 degrees, so that 7 and 8 together are supplementary. The purpose for today's lesson is that at the end of this lesson, you should be able to prove lines are parallel using angle congruence, as well as solve for a given variable given parallel lines. Here are 4 theorems that are the converse of everything that we learned yesterday. Basically, in each of these theorems, given angles are congruent or supplementary, we can then say that the lines are parallel. We're going to apply these 2 theorems to a couple problems here. Okay, here's example 1. Using the picture here, which lines, if any, must be parallel if angle 1 is congruent to angle 2? Let's mark those in the picture here. Here is angle 1 and here is angle 2. These are alternate interior angles. Notice the 2 lines that form these angles. So if we get rid of line EC here, if we ignored it completely, we don't need this line in order to form angle 1 or 2. Therefore, ED, line ED, must be parallel to line CK, since those 2 lines form those angles. And we can write that like this here. Given another one, which lines, if any, must be parallel if angle 3 is congruent to angle 4? Let's mark those angles in the drawing here. So here is angle 3 and here is angle 4. These are corresponding angles. So we need to see which 2 parallel lines form these angles. If I got rid of this line here, I don't need that at all in order to form angle 3 and 4. So in this case, line EC, this one here, and line DK must be parallel because they form angle 3 and angle 4, which are corresponding and congruent. As a note, make sure that in each example you are drawing the picture and also showing the work and the answers to each problem. Okay, let's move on. Here's example 2. Go ahead and draw this figure in your notebook, and the directions say, find the value of x for which L is parallel to M. So in this case, we want this 40 degrees and this angle, 2x plus 6 degrees, to be congruent. You can see that the position that they're in shows that they're corresponding angles. As we know, corresponding angles are congruent if we have parallel lines. So we know that this 40 degrees needs to be congruent to this angle here. So if you can do this in your head, you can think that if I want this angle here to be 40 degrees, what does the value for x have to be there? If we can't do this in our head, let's just set this up. So 2x plus 6, we want that angle right here to equal 40 degrees because it's corresponding to this angle here. Doing some simple algebra, we'll subtract 6 on both sides. We get 2x equals 36. Divide by 2. So x equals 18. Let's double check just to make sure that if we were to plug 18 in for x here, we actually get 40 degrees for this angle. So 2 times 18 plus 6. 2 times 18 is 36 plus 6. So let's go back and change this because I can see here this isn't going to equal 40 degrees. Checking our math on this part, 36 divided by 2, that looks like it's 18. 2 times 18 is 36 plus 6. So we must have a mistake somewhere. Let's try this one more time. 40 minus 36, going back here, here's my error. This needs to be 34 degrees. So let's go back and change this one more time. So this has to be 34. Now 34 divided by 2 is 17. Okay, one more time, plugging this in here. So 2 times 17 plus 6. This looks better. 2 times 17 is 34 plus 6 is 40. So it checks out. Given that x is 17, we'll get 40 degrees here corresponding with this 40 degrees here. Let's do one more example together and then I'll give you a U try. Okay, looking in this picture, solve for x such that line A and line T are parallel. So this one, the angles aren't next to each other. With the 3x, let's fill in what's corresponding with 3x since we know that those are congruent. So if this part here is 3x, I know that this angle here must be 3x as well, since those are corresponding. 2x minus 10, the arrow is showing that it goes right here. So just to help us see that better, I'm just going to write 2x minus 10 here, so that we can see where that arrow is actually going. That'll help us wrap our mind around this problem. Okay, now that the angles are next to each other, it's a little more obvious that these angles, 3x and 2x minus 10, are supplementary. They're right next to each other. We know that supplementary angles add up to 180. So 3x plus 2x minus 10 has to equal 180. Let's write this out. 3x, there's one angle, plus 2x minus 10, there's a second angle here, has to equal 180. They're supplementary. Solving, 3x plus 2x is 5x, minus 10 equals 180. Add 10 to both sides. We get 5x equals 190. Dividing by 5, we get x equals 190 divided by 5. I'll pull out my calculator. 190 divided by 5 equals 38. As before, let's check in case we made any errors in this problem. So 3x, we can write that here. 3 times 38 would give us 3 times 38 gives us 114. In this case, 2 times 38 minus 10, so 2 times 38 minus 10 is 66. So adding 114 plus 66, we get 180, and so this checks out. This shows that the two angles are congruent, meaning that line A must be parallel with line T. You guys can go ahead and try these two problems here, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.